John and Anna's life seemed like a picturesque dream to everyone around them. They were the couple everyone admired, the ones who had it all together. John, a dedicated software engineer, and Anna, a talented interior designer, had met during college and had been inseparable ever since. Their love story was the kind that made people believe in soulmates. Their marriage was a harmonious blend of mutual respect, love, and shared dreams. They bought a beautiful house in the suburbs, filled it with laughter and warmth, and enjoyed their quiet evenings together after long days at work. Weekends were reserved for movie nights, cozy dinners, and occasional getaways to the countryside. They didn't have children, but they always talked about starting a family someday. John and Anna's social circle was filled with close friends who admired their relationship. Among them was Mark, John's best friend from childhood. Mark had always been a part of their lives, often joining them for dinners and trips. He admired their bond and frequently told John how lucky he was to have found such a wonderful partner in Anna. Anna's career was thriving. She had recently landed a big project with a prestigious client, a wealthy businessman named Richard. John was proud of Anna's success and often encouraged her to pursue her dreams. Little did he know that this encouragement would be the beginning of a nightmare. Richard was charming, wealthy, and charismatic, everything that could easily captivate someone. He and Anna started spending more time together due to the demands of the project. Initially, it was just business meetings and site visits, but gradually their interactions became more personal. Richard would compliment Anna on her designs, praise her creativity, and soon they were sharing lunches and dinners. Anna, who had always felt secure in her marriage, found herself drawn to Richard's attention. The excitement of something new, combined with Richard's persistent charm, created a whirlwind that she couldn't resist. It started with innocent flirting and escalated into secret meetings and intimate encounters. Anna was caught in a web of deceit, her emotions tangled in a dangerous affair. John, oblivious to the storm brewing, continued to trust Anna implicitly. He noticed her coming home later than usual, but she always had plausible explanations about the project's demands. Mark, however, started to sense something was amiss. He saw the subtle changes in Anna's behavior, the way she was more secretive and often distracted. One evening, Mark decided to talk to John about his concerns. They were at their favorite bar, a place where they had shared countless laughs and stories. Mark hesitated, not wanting to hurt his friend, but feeling compelled to tell him the truth. "John, there's something I need to talk to you about," Mark began, his voice filled with concern. John looked at him, puzzled. "What's going on, Mark?" "I don't know how to say this, but I think something is going on with Anna and that businessman she's working with," Mark said cautiously. "I've noticed some changes in her behavior and it doesn't feel right." John's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. "Are you saying Anna is having an affair? I hope I'm wrong, but I think you should talk to her," Mark replied, his voice heavy with sympathy. John felt a knot tighten in his stomach. He trusted Anna completely and couldn't believe she would betray him. That night he lay awake grappling with Mark's words, hoping it was all a misunderstanding. The next day, John decided to confront Anna. He couldn't ignore the gnawing doubt that had taken root in his mind. When Anna came home, he approached her, trying to keep his emotions in check. "Anna, we need to talk," he said, his voice calm but firm. Anna looked at him, sensing the seriousness in his tone. "What's wrong, John? I've been hearing things. Mark mentioned that you might be getting too close to Richard," he said, watching her reaction closely. Anna's face paled, and she fumbled for words. "John, it's not what you think. Richard and I are just working together. He's been a bit friendly, but it's all professional." John wanted to believe her, but the doubt lingered. "Are you sure? Because if there's something going on, I need to know." Tears welled up in Anna's eyes. "John, I'm so sorry. It started innocently, but I've made a terrible mistake." John's heart shattered as Anna's confession spilled out. She admitted to the affair, her voice trembling with regret. She tried to explain how it happened, how she got caught up in the excitement and attention from Richard, but her words felt like daggers to John's heart. Without another word, John walked out of the house, needing to escape the suffocating pain. He drove aimlessly, his mind reeling from the betrayal. When he finally returned home, he found Anna sitting on the couch, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "John, please, let's talk about this. I'm so sorry. I love you, and I want to make things right," Anna pleaded. But John couldn't find it in himself to listen. The trust that was once the foundation of their marriage had been shattered, and all he could feel was a deep, aching pain. "It's over, Anna. I can't do this anymore." Anna sobbed uncontrollably as John packed a bag and left their home. He couldn't bear to stay in the place that was now tainted by betrayal. He moved in with Mark, who provided a supportive shoulder and a place to stay during the darkest days. The news of John and Anna's separation spread quickly among their friends and family. John's parents were heartbroken, unable to understand how their seemingly perfect daughter-in-law could betray their son. Mark tried to be there for John as much as possible, but he knew that this was a journey John had to navigate on his own. Anna, on the other hand, was left to face the consequences of her actions. She ended her affair with Richard, realizing too late that the thrill wasn't worth the devastation it caused. Richard, who had been using Anna for his own satisfaction, quickly distanced himself from her once the affair was exposed. Anna was left alone, grappling with the guilt and the loss of her marriage. Despite her pleas and apologies, John refused to consider reconciliation. He filed for divorce, determined to move on from the pain. Anna reluctantly agreed, knowing that she had no right to ask for forgiveness after what she had done. The divorce process was a painful and drawn-out affair. Splitting their assets, dividing their lives, and facing each other in court was excruciating. John struggled to contain his anger and hurt every time he saw Anna. The woman he had once loved with all his heart was now a stranger to him, someone who had shattered his trust. During this tumultuous time, John threw himself into his work. He had always been passionate about technology and had dreams of starting his own company. The betrayal had left him disillusioned with love, but it also ignited a fire within him to prove that he could succeed on his own. He spent countless hours developing a startup idea he had been toying with for years. Late nights and long weekends became his new routine. Mark noticed the change in John, recognizing the drive and determination that had replaced his despair. "John, I'm really proud of you," Mark said one evening as they sat in John's makeshift office. "You've turned all this pain into something productive. That takes real strength." John nodded, grateful for Mark's support. "Thanks, Mark. I just need something to focus on, something that makes me feel alive again." As John's startup began to take shape, he found himself slowly healing from the wounds of betrayal. He built a small team, secured funding, and launched his company. The success of his venture brought a sense of accomplishment that he hadn't felt in a long time. However, the scars of the past remained. John struggled with trusting others and found it difficult to open up to anyone. He dated occasionally, but each relationship felt superficial, lacking the deep connection he once had with Anna. He realized that the betrayal had left him wary of letting anyone get too close. Anna's life after the divorce was a stark contrast to the happiness she once knew. The affair with Richard had cost her everything she held dear. She lost her marriage, her home, and the respect of her friends and family. Her once thriving career suffered as well, with clients distancing themselves from the scandal. She tried to reach out to John multiple times, hoping for a chance to explain and seek forgiveness, but John refused to see her. The realization that she had lost him forever weighed heavily on her. The life she had built was now in ruins, and she had no one to blame but herself. In her loneliness, Anna sought therapy to understand why she had sabotaged her own happiness. Through counseling, she began to confront her insecurities and the reasons behind her actions. She learned that her affair with Richard was a desperate attempt to fill a void within herself, a void that no amount of external validation could ever fill. Anna's journey to self-awareness was painful but necessary. She started to rebuild her life, focusing on her career and personal growth. She volunteered at local charities, hoping to find some semblance of redemption through helping others. While she managed to regain some professional footing, the personal regret and loss of John's love remained a constant ache. John's success with his startup continued to grow, and he became a well-respected figure in the tech industry. Despite his professional achievements, he still struggled with the emotional aftermath of the betrayal. He often found himself reflecting on his relationship with Anna, trying to make sense of what went wrong. He would sit alone in his office, staring at old photographs and mementos from their time together. The love and happiness they once shared seemed like a distant memory, overshadowed by the pain of betrayal. He wondered if he would ever be able to trust someone completely again. In one of his therapy sessions, his therapist asked him to write a letter to Anna, not to send it, but as a way to process his feelings. John poured his heart into the letter, expressing his pain, anger, and the deep sense of loss he felt. Writing the letter was cathartic, helping him to articulate emotions that he had buried deep inside. Despite the progress he made in therapy, John remained guarded in his personal life. He avoided relationships, fearing the vulnerability that came with opening his heart to someone new. Instead, he focused on his friendships and his work, finding solace in the stability they provided. Mark, always the supportive friend, encouraged John to take small steps towards healing. "You don't have to jump into anything serious," Mark advised. "Just allow yourself to enjoy life again, to trust in small ways. It's a process, and you'll get there." John appreciated Mark's words and began to make an effort to reconnect with life outside of work. He joined a hiking group, started taking cooking classes, and even adopted a dog. These activities brought him joy and helped him to slowly rebuild his sense of self. As time passed, John's startup flourished, gaining recognition and success in the tech world. The accolades and achievements were bittersweet, though, as they were always tinged with the memory of why he had thrown himself into work so fervently. John's professional life was thriving, but his personal life remained in shambles, his heart still scarred from the betrayal he had endured. Anna, on the other hand, was struggling to rebuild her life. She had lost the respect of her peers, and the stigma of her affair followed her everywhere. She faced judgment and isolation, which only deepened her regret and self-loathing. She threw herself into her work and her volunteer efforts, trying to find some semblance of redemption and meaning. Despite her efforts, Anna couldn't escape the ghost of her past mistakes. She found herself replaying the moments of her affair, each memory a reminder of her failure. The joy she once felt in her work was replaced by a constant ache, a longing for the life she had destroyed. The house she and John had shared felt empty, filled with echoes of what once was. The walls that had once held their laughter now seemed to press in on her, suffocating her with regret. Anna's therapy sessions were grueling, as she confronted the depths of her insecurities and the reasons behind her actions. Her therapist helped her see that her affair was a symptom of deeper issues, a desperate attempt to fill a void within herself. She realized that no amount of external validation could ever satisfy her need for self-worth. The journey to self-awareness was painful, but it was a necessary step towards healing. John, too, was on a journey of self-discovery. His therapy sessions helped him process his emotions and understand the impact of the betrayal on his psyche. He learned to recognize the signs of his mistrust and fear, and he began to work on rebuilding his sense of self-worth. The letter he wrote to Anna was a turning point, allowing him to express the pain he had been carrying and to begin the process of letting go. John's relationship with Mark grew stronger during this time. Mark was a constant source of support, always ready to lend a listening ear or a word of encouragement. They spent countless hours talking, reflecting on their lives and their journeys. Mark's own experiences with heartbreak and healing gave him a unique perspective, and his empathy helped John navigate the complexities of his emotions. Despite the progress he was making, John still struggled with trusting others. He dated occasionally, but each relationship felt superficial. lacking the deep connection he once had with Anna. He realized that the betrayal had left him wary of letting anyone get too close. The fear of being hurt again was a constant companion, and it cast a shadow over his interactions with others. Anna's life after the divorce was a stark contrast to the happiness she once knew. The affair with Richard had cost her everything she held dear. She lost her marriage, her home, and the respect of her friends and family. Her once thriving career suffered as well, with clients distancing themselves from the scandal. She tried to reach out to John multiple times, hoping for a chance to explain and seek forgiveness. But John refused to see her. The realization that she had lost him forever weighed heavily on her. The life she had built was now in ruins, and she had no one to blame but herself. In her loneliness, Anna sought therapy to understand why she had sabotaged her own happiness. Through counseling, she began to confront her insecurities and the reasons behind her actions. She learned that her affair with Richard was a desperate attempt to fill a void within herself, a void that no amount of external validation could ever fill. Anna's journey to self-awareness was painful but necessary. She started to rebuild her life, focusing on her career and personal growth. She volunteered at local charities, hoping to find some semblance of redemption through helping others. While she managed to regain some professional footing, the personal regret and loss of John's love remained a constant ache. One evening, while volunteering at a local shelter, Anna met Emily, a young woman who had been through a series of abusive relationships. Emily's story resonated with Anna, reminding her of her own struggles with self-worth and validation. They formed a bond, and Anna became a mentor to Emily, helping her find the strength to leave her abusive situation and start a new life. Through her work with Emily and others at the shelter, Anna found a sense of purpose and healing. She realized that while she couldn't change her past mistakes, she could use her experiences to help others. The work was emotionally draining, but it was also deeply fulfilling. For the first time since the affair, Anna felt a glimmer of hope for her future. John's success with his startup continued to grow, and he became a well-respected figure in the tech industry. Despite his professional achievements, he still struggled with the emotional aftermath of the betrayal. He often found himself reflecting on his relationship with Anna, trying to make sense of what went wrong. He would sit alone in his office staring at old photographs and mementos from their time together. The love and happiness they once shared seemed like a distant memory, overshadowed by the pain of betrayal. He wondered if he would ever be able to trust someone completely again. In one of his therapy sessions, his therapist asked him to write a letter to Anna, not to send it, but as a way to process his feelings. John poured his heart into the letter, expressing his pain, anger, and the deep sense of loss he felt. Writing the letter was cathartic, helping him to articulate emotions that he had buried deep inside. Despite the progress he made in therapy, John remained guarded in his personal life. He avoided relationships, fearing the vulnerability that came with opening his heart to someone new. Instead, he focused on his friendships and his work, finding solace in the stability they provided. Mark, always the supportive friend, encouraged John to take small steps towards healing. "You don't have to jump into anything serious," Mark advised. "Just allow yourself to enjoy life again, to trust in small ways. It's a process, and you'll get there." John appreciated Mark's words and began to make an effort to reconnect with life outside of work. He joined a haying group, started taking cooking classes, and even adopted a dog. These activities brought him joy and helped him to slowly rebuild his sense of self. One weekend, John decided to take a trip to the mountains. He rented a cabin hoping to find some peace and solitude in nature. The crisp mountain air and the serene surroundings provided a much-needed escape from the pressures of his daily life. He spent his days hiking the trails, taking in the breathtaking views and reflecting on his journey. As he stood on a mountain peak looking out at the vast expanse of wilderness, John felt a sense of clarity. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined him. He realized that he had the strength to move forward, to build a new life filled with hope and possibility. Years passed, and John's startup became a leading company in its field. He had achieved professional success beyond his wildest dreams, but his personal life remained a work in progress. The scars of betrayal had healed, but they had left him with a cautious heart. One day, while attending a tech conference, John met Emily, a brilliant and kind-hearted entrepreneur. They struck up a conversation, finding common ground in their passions and life experiences. Emily's warmth and genuine nature intrigued John, and for the first time in years, he felt a spark of something more. They began to spend time together, initially discussing business and gradually sharing more personal stories. Emily had her own history of heartbreak and understood the complexities of healing from betrayal. Their bond grew stronger, built on mutual respect and understanding. John found himself opening up to Emily in ways he hadn't with anyone else since Anna. He realized that while the pain of the past would always be a part of him, it didn't have to define his future. With Emily, he discovered the possibility of love and trust once again. As their relationship blossomed, John felt a sense of hope and happiness that he thought he had lost forever. He knew that he couldn't change the past, but he could choose to embrace the future with an open heart. John and Emily's relationship grew stronger, and they eventually decided to build a life together. They supported each other's dreams, celebrated each other's successes, and navigated life's challenges as a team. John had finally found someone who understood him, someone he could trust and love deeply. In the end, John realized that while betrayal had broken his heart, it had also led him on a journey of self-discovery and growth. He had built a successful career, found true friendship in Mark, and ultimately rediscovered the meaning of love with Emily. John's story was one of resilience and hope, a testament to the strength of the human spirit. Despite the pain and heartache, he had emerged stronger, ready to face whatever the future held with an open heart and a hopeful spirit.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel.